In this video, we'll create an HMI interface using an easy animation touchscreen. So the first thing I'll do is create ladder logic. I'll add a single contact and a coil. Both of these are going to be base tags, so I'll call this one HMI start, and this one will be HMI coil. So I'm ready to download to my controller. This one is .17. So it's important that I create ladder logic that's functional before I start to create my screens. The reason being that I need to export my tag database so I can import it into the screen builder program. So I'll go to Tools, Export Tags. I'm going to drop them onto a flash drive that I have. And at this point, I can minimize the ladder logic. I'm going to leave it open and open the Easy Touch editor so we can go through the entire process. So in this one, I would like to create a new project called HMI 001. When I press enter, it defaults to these settings, which are not correct. I have an Easy Touch 6-inch screen in front of me. The PLC manufacturer is Allen Bradley. It's Ethernet IP driver. The PLC address is 192.168.1.1. So my PLC address has been established. My screen address has not, so I'm going to click on Ethernet. The screen that I would like to use is at 1.84. So on this screen, it shows my screen address. It shows PLC here, and I'm ready to start designing. Let me resize the screen so that it'll fit. Well, let's see. There we go. This is a screen that I have to work with. I would like to expand that a little bit, but the problem is it runs off for right now. I like to have more space on the screen. So the first thing I'll do is right click on the screen, change the background color to a darker color so that my objects will be more visible. How about a really dark green line? So in my ladder logic tags, I'll go to Setup, Import Tags, and find that file. So mine on the flash drive. We'll give it a second to catch up. And there it goes. So I'll check my tag. I have a coil and I have a start. Both of these are discrete types, which is a Boolean. It's a bit value. The address is, which is PLC1, and it's HMI coil, HMI start. Okay, so that's fine. So what I would like to do is start coil, a start button for that. The button will link to the start tag. I would like it to be, let's do momentary on. When I press that button, I would like for it to say on. When it's not pressed, I'll have it start. So when it's pressed, I would like it to be green, but maybe a slightly darker green. And when it's not active, a brighter green. So let's do that. And I click and drop my control. So let's right click and simulate the project. And this is what it will look like. Now, your finger is going to be over the word start, so you know that you've pressed it. But it will change colors to tell that you've done something. And the screen itself will beep when you press the start button, so you'll know that something has happened. Add an indicating off of these menus up here, but they're also available on the side. So to indicator light, the tag name will be coil. I'll just leave the default settings over here. You have a few basic options on this. When it's on, I guess on off is fine. When it is on, make it a bright color so we know that it's on. And I'll just make that about that big. Let's simulate. Of course, the lamp won't do anything because it's not tied to anything just yet. So let's close that. So the next thing is to send it to the right to panel button. And I'll just look at the number it looks right and start. So I'll look at the HMI. It looks correct to me. Let's go back to the ladder logic. And activate. Okay, so that's momentary operation. Let's say I would like it to be a toggle so it stays on. That's easy. I go back, I click on that, change it to a toggle type, download it again, and now it's a toggle push button. If I go back to the ladder logic and press it, and it turns off. So it's actually very simple to create HMI interfaces. Let's add one more just because. You notice we have lots and lots of control objects up here. Basically, you would go through and just learn about each one if you have time to do so. There is help in the system. If I right-click on something, options to change it as well. So let's add a numeric entry control object. So let's go back to the ladder logic. This. Now the timer 1 is going to have a preset value .pre. What I'm going to do is link to that PRE value back from the screen, adjust my timer on the fly. So let's add a normally closed content .done. So this will be a resetting timer. It times up, restarts, times up, restarts. Let's do one more thing. Accept changes. Let's say let's make sure that we load a time value into the timer on the very first pass so that we don't have a strange situation where there's a 0 time. So we're going to move seconds into timer1.pre, and that's only going to happen on the first pass. So I'll put a coil down here called first pass, and that's a base tag. And I'm going to move this one up a little bit. Okay, so preloaded time into the timer so that it doesn't have a 0 like that. Let's export those tags one more time, and I'll put them over the same tags I had. And let's open the screen tag. What you'll notice is I get a lot of error messages here. Well, only 2. The tags already exist, so I can't overwrite, which is fine. Be safe that way. I'll just close that, and let's add a numeric entry. And it's going to go to the PRE tag. Let's say the minimum can be 100 milliseconds up to 2,000 milliseconds. That looks good. Let's also add a label to this, and let's say that it's timer 1 PRE. And so let's go back to adder. I will go ahead and punch in a new time for the time delay, and we should see it update right here. So let me put in 250. And of course it changes, so now I have a 250 millisecond timer that restarts by itself. Let's make it 1,000. So now we can see it. You know, if let's make 2,000. That's our maximum. So we basically have a timer that resets itself. If I would like to show a blinking light on the screen, I would have to add a second timer so I could have a flash. So let's video. The idea behind this one was to show you how to create a very simple ladder logic program and import the tags into an HMI screen and link them to objects on the screen. So that's this video. We can add more screens. Let me show you how to do that. New screen. Screen number 2 can be SCR2. If I need to go to screen 2, I could add a screen change button and point to screen 2 and put that here on screen 1, and that would take me to screen number 2. If I go to screen 2, button on it, I can go back to screen 1. So let's go ahead and send that to the screen. And let me simulate the project from here. See what it does. It just goes back and forth. Okay, so let me go over to the actual screen. I'll change this back to 500 again. And so there we have it. So there's a definite flow to this process. We need to create logic that's functional and works correctly. We export tags. We import them into the screen editor program. We link the tags. A few things that I will say about this. When you go to your tag database, you probably will not see alias tags that you created back in your ladder logic. So if I had an output, like output 0 on the PLC, and if I use an alias tag name for that, I'll need to branch around that with a base tag. So for example, let's say that this coil here needs to turn on output 0. The base coil called output 0. So when I go and press that button on the screen, on the controller, output 0 turns on. To the screen editor, the on button linking back to the base tag. So it's kind of a quirk for the programming software for the screen editor program. It doesn't like to go back to alias tags. You let me export these tags and import them, and you'll see that auto does not show up. Okay, but we have no alias tags. It's not a problem. In fact, one way you could look at this is that you should all of your outputs branch around them with your alias outputs. You can also, because of the way the software is written, you can also put them in series like that. Button. So you can see that it works. You know, in real life, if we were wiring up relay coils, this would not work. But this is logic. So you can do that if you like it. I personally don't like that. I like to see them in parallel because that's more like actual motor controls. But it does the same thing. Okay. Let's stop with that, and maybe in another video we can look at more complex projects. Really, the only thing that's different though is maybe the ladder logic structure. The more essentially it's the same thing. So let's stop right there.